Hello and welcome. I'm Rajesh Pawar and you're watching this special show from Irpin. Irpin, the city which is just 21 kilometers away from Kyiv and just a one step away for Russian army to reach Kyiv. This is a city which it witnessed heavy shelling in 11 days of war. And right now there's a heavy fighting going on in Irpin. In next 20 minutes, I will take you through what all is happening right now in Irpin and the outskirts of the city.
Amid Russian bombs, missiles and air raids, the only team deep inside real war zone.
It's very close and the bombing is coming closer to us. Everybody's running now to take place.
Fearless reporting amid raining missiles.
So if an air raid siren is going up here, it could point to perhaps an incoming hostile. It could be an aircraft that's coming in.
Only team standing in devastated Kyiv and Irpin.
It's very close. It was just on top of us. Everybody on the ground.
Braving Russian assault in the front line. Global exclusive.
India today is the only channel which could reach Irpin city, the front lines where Russian army is facing the Ukrainian army. It was not the only Indian channel, but the only channel in the world which could reach so close to the front lines. Have a look what is happening in the Irpin today.
The city that has seen maximum airstrikes in Ukraine so far. The city that continues to bear the brunt of Russian shelling.
Shit!
Russia's non-stop aerial bombardment on the city of Irpin, just 25 kilometers from Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. India today reports amidst the airstrikes and bombardment.
It's very close. It was just on top of us. Everybody on the ground. Everybody on the ground there. Bomb very close to us has fell down. Everybody's on the ground. Everybody's on the ground here. And this very close. It's like just a few meters away. Everybody's on the ground running now. Continuous firing taking place. Continuous firing taking place. Continuous firing taking place. This bomb just... It's very close. It's very close and the bombing is coming closer to us. Everybody's running now to take place. The cars, whatever they have. Panic everywhere. Even militia and military is running. Everybody is running now. All vehicles leaving. Panic everywhere. Bombs falling very close. There is smoke rising from everywhere. There's a big bloom of black smoke that side. Then there is smoke this side, and then here. These are the places, and there's a BMV coming, an infantry tank vehicle coming, I think, from the border where the fighting is taking place right now. There is black smoke emanating from all these buildings, all this area where the fighting is taking place. Thick bloom, that side of the black smoke, and from the city, many places, and this is where attack is taking place, and I'm being warned to run away from this place. Firing taking place, bombs are blasting, and these are civilians running from this area who are left behind. There's black smoke rising there in the buildings, and the bombs are being fired, tanks are firing onto the buildings here. And these are civilians which are evacuating this area. They are evacuating this area in hurry. They are running around. And these are people who are left behind. and now they're fleeing the area. Continuous firing is taking place, and black smoke is rising from the buildings in the background. There's a rocket fire everywhere, and this is in Irpin right now. Continuous firing from both sides is going on. Since we came here, it's continuous firing by rockets and by tanks, and whatever civilians were left, they're fleeing this area. Buses have been placed. Black smoke is rising there from the buildings.
Irpin, a city neighboring Kyiv, has been left in ruins in many places after being bombed by Russian Sukhoi Su-25 jets as well as cruise missiles.
Bucha district, that's it in Bucha district. That's Bucha district, and there we are. Smoke's just, this is where it fell just now. You see the smoke rising just 50 meters from here. That's where the bomb fell right now. 50 meters from here, if you can see, that's where the round has hit, the rocket has hit right now.
Citizens are evacuating from Irpin as fire, fear and flares grip the city.
The most affected in the war are the old, elderly, and at this age they have to leave their house and move out. This old woman is barely able to walk, but this is the tragedy of war. They have to leave their houses and move out now. And right now these bombs are falling inside the city. Yes. And the Russian soldiers
They shot people, houses, mini houses, towers, everything.
Where will you go now? Where will you go now?
I don't know.
They think that it's stopped and we just sit and else continue sitting, but now it's...
They thought this war will not last for too long. Maybe it will get over 1 or 2 days. So they continued staying home till the time shelling started around their head. Did you hear shells fall, bombs fall on the house?
Вы слышали, как падали бомбы?
Huh? Many. And he is the grandson of this old man. Why did you stay back? Why you did not leave the house when the bombing started?
Because there is no people who gonna evacuate us, and we're sitting with them, etc. And we're still waiting our grandfather because he is sitting in Gostomo. It's near to Irpin too, but with other side. And for 3 days he don't come to Romanik, and we're still waiting him for today when he can go with us.
And you look like normal. You're laughing and smiling. Is it normal? Is it okay?
Yeah, because in the war you need to find positive. There is something negative.
I agree. You need to find positive in the war as well. These are civilians escaping now, just firing, and whoever left over there, they are escaping now with whatever they have in a panic, and they'll be put into this bus. The old man, he is also leaving. Look, everybody's leaving. The people who stayed back behind, now they're being helped by. Bus full of people who are left behind. We are 1 kilometer away from where the fighting is taking place between the Russian forces and the Ukrainian forces, and this is the last checkpoint of the militia here. There's a bomb blast. You can hear the bombs are being fired, the rockets are being fired, and these are civilians which are being evacuated by the militia in this area. These are all the civilians which are fleeing this area, now being evacuated by the militia, and this whole area is swarming with people with weapons in civil dress, some of them black dresses, and they're all militia. Army is a kilometer ahead from here, and we can hear the rockets firing or the tanks firing on each other. These are buses which have been placed to take the civilians away, and all these people are fleeing this area who stayed back for whatever reason are now leaving the area because intense fighting is taking place in this place, and this is Irpin.
On day 11 of the invasion, one of the most visible aspects of the military operation, the fury being unleashed on the city of Irpin. With Rajesh Pawar in Irpin, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russia continues to mount its attack on Ukraine. Today is the 11th day. They have seized a hydropower plant near Kyiv. There is bloodbath in some cities of Ukraine. Have a look at this report.
Airstrikes, shellings, residential buildings on fire. Captured cities reduced to rubble. Thick smoke engulfing from buildings. Ukraine is bleeding. One of the worst hit cities is Kharkiv. Attacks by Russian troops have left numerous buildings burning and some in ruins. A market brimming with people till a month ago is now charred. In what looks like the aftermath of an airstrike, northern city of Ukraine, Chernihiv, houses witnessed massive fire, with several houses getting destroyed completely. The battle for the Ukrainian capital goes ballistic. A video released by Ukraine shows badly damaged buildings after a Russian airstrike in the suburbs of capital Kyiv. But the civilians have rolled up their sleeves and taken to the streets to prepare roadblocks, hedgehogs, metal spikes planted to block the Russian troops. Russian troops have taken control over the city of Skastia in the Luhansk region. The scenes in the city are that of devastation and destruction. Hostomel, that witnessed destruction of world's largest aircraft, had a fresh fire in its building after a possible Russian airstrike. Messages of hatred, disgust and intense anger paint Ukraine's billboards. Those who come at us with a sword will die by a sword. Now all hopes of peace pinned on the third round of talks scheduled on Monday. But will there be a headway? Will a safe passage for civilians be agreed upon? Will the bloodbath on streets come to an end? Bureau Report, India Today.
Russian ground forces have launched a mission blackout in Ukraine. After capturing Chernobyl and the nuclear power plant at Zaporozhye, now they're closing in onto a third nuclear power plant and a hydel power plant near Kyiv. Let's see what is the situation right now in Ukraine.
One of the most mysterious images in 11 days of the invasion of Ukraine. Russian tanks surrounding the site of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The world wondered what Russia wanted with the ghosts of the world's worst nuclear accident, especially when Ukraine has 4 active and functional nuclear power facilities. Hours after the capture, it was revealed that the Chernobyl site is still staffed and maintained, given it is still hugely sensitive and strategic. And Putin settled any lingering doubts a week later when his forces surrounded and shelled Ukraine's Zaporozhye nuclear facility, Europe's largest. Amidst the cat-and-mouse and claim war, the facility is now almost certainly in Russian hands. With Zaporozhye under Russian control, Putin's forces are now said to be approaching a third nuclear facility in Ukraine. The Yuzhno-Kryansk nuclear power plant, 120 kilometers from Mykolaiv, a city which itself has been besieged by Russian forces. The 2 other nuclear facilities at Kaminsky and Irpin are not besieged yet, but could be on target too.
This is systematic targeting of nuclear assets, and God forbid if one of the 6 nuclear reactors was hit, even if by a misfire of a missile or a rocket, the impact would have been 10 times worse than Chernobyl. And the fact that President Zelensky is saying that Russia knows the coordinates and Russia is going after these targets deliberately.
By taking control of Ukraine's nuclear facilities, which supply over half of Ukraine's electricity and power needs, is President Putin looking to throttle the country into submission, with the ability to thrust vast areas of the country into darkness.
If Russia says that they do not want to impact and affect civilians, then this could mean a lot of impact in terms of casualties because of the weather here in Ukraine. Secondly, they've taken over very important key nuclear installations. I was speaking to somebody who keeps a keen watch on what's really happening on the ground and on these facilities, and he said that if anything were to happen to key installations on the east end of Ukraine, it will not just impact Ukraine, it is going to impact Russia.
We are now all not calm and asking and frightened. Please, it will take not only about the Ukrainian disaster, but it will take the whole world into this conflict.
The capture of Ukraine's nuclear facilities runs parallel to a steady escalation in nuclear temperatures between Russia and NATO.
I ordered Defense Minister and Chief of the General Staff to put Russian army deterrence forces on high combat alert.
With Moscow saying it has put its nuclear forces on high alert in response to statements from Ukraine that NATO was getting directly involved in the war. If global heat over the crisis isn't already super high, sections of Russian media have added fuel to the nuclear fire with a sensational suggestion that the United States has secretly supplied Ukraine with weapons-grade plutonium, helping it mine uranium, and looking to turn Ukraine into a nuclear weapons nation.
Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is the biggest in Europe and the biggest in Ukraine. And so if something bad could happen to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, it would be a problem not only about Ukraine, it will be a problem in Russia too.
Is the world headed towards a major geopolitical meltdown with the nuclear shockwaves between Kyiv and Moscow? With Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russia has launched fierce airstrikes in various cities of Ukraine in various regions, and they have exclusively used futuristic aircrafts. Today, we will decode you for 10 top aircrafts used by the Russian Air Force in this report.
Heart-stopping images of a Russian airstrike caught on camera. The first footage of an actual aerial bombing in 11 days of a conflict that's been represented largely by ground attacks. But only an hour after the bombing of Irpin went out on India Today, this stunning 32-second clip capturing a Russian attack helicopter being shot down by a Ukrainian shoulder-fired missile exploded from the battlefield north of Kyiv. In the last 48 hours, the air power aspect has taken on a fearsome new primacy. With aircraft much more visible and claims of Russian pilots taken captive. Both Ukraine and Russia have been old Soviet aviation powerhouses, and the war has generated enormous interest in the warbirds both countries have deployed over their blazing battlefields. The most visible Russian aircraft in the Ukraine crisis is the Sukhoi Su-25, a tough old Soviet-era bird that's taken on most attack duties.
Let me show you what these aircraft are that are doing the bombing and that the Ukrainians claim that they've actually shot down. These are strikes very close to Kyiv. The jet dropping the bombs is called a Sukhoi 25. It's a Sukhoi Su-25. It's a ground strike aircraft. It is designed for close air support to ground forces, and there are huge ground forces of the Russian army that's, outside on the outskirts of Kyiv right now. These aircraft are designed and capable of low altitude bombings. That's why you saw them captured so clearly on mobile camera. Their weapons include strike missiles, bombs, rockets. They've so far been used in many, many different operations around the world, including and most notably in Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, and Sudan, but of course in many other operations, including in North Africa as well.
The most visible Russian helicopter in the war is the Mi-24. Seen here being dramatically shot down by a Ukrainian shoulder-fired missile. These are sturdy, heavily armed and armored helicopters deployed to support ground troops and destroy tanks and other ground targets. the Mi-24's export variant, the Mi-35 is in service with the Indian Air Force too. The third Russian aircraft type seen in the skies over Ukraine is the Sukhoi Su-34, a supersonic medium-range fighter bomber used for tactical strikes in contested airspace. Su-34s have been seen in the air over eastern and north Ukraine. The other Russian attack helicopter on combat duties in Ukraine is the Kamov Ka-52. These images of one such helicopter made to force land went viral in the early days of the invasion. Several more are set to be flying sorties in the northern border. Also clearly visible in the skies over Ukraine are Russian Mi-8 utility helicopters captured here in this airborne assault on the Hostomel air base north of Kyiv in the early days of the invasion. These workhorse helicopters are a precursor to the Mi-17 that India currently operates. Ukraine has made the huge claim that its air defense systems have shot down 2 giant Il-76 transport jets, though there has been no visual proof of this. While the iconic Russian Tu-95 hasn't been seen in the skies over Ukraine or even nearby, the high-flying propeller-driven aircraft has figured in the war of claims between both sides, with Ukraine saying its air defense forces have managed to shoot down one of these giant airplanes. As air power becomes more pronounced in Ukraine, and as NATO continues to refuse Ukraine's plea for the imposition of a no-fly zone, could airstrikes define the second week of Putin's invasion? With Rajesh Pawar in Irpin and Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
Russian President Volodymyr Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are the center of world attraction right now. Let's decode these two people, what they are all about.
Where do they sit? How do they sit? How do they communicate? One is evidently a people's person. The other, should we say, keeps distance. And how should they do so if all the two men were to negotiate directly? That is $1 million question.
You don't want to leave now. Sit down with me at the negotiation table. I'm available. Sit with me, but not at 30 meters. Like you welcomed Macron and Scholz and others. I'm your neighbor. You don't need to keep me at 30-meter distance. I don't bite. I'm a normal man. Sit down with me. Let's talk. What are you afraid of?
These images have drawn ridicule and raised eyebrows. Not because Putin does this with everyone, but only with a few. Here with the president of Kazakhstan, an ally.
Pilots.
And here with the crew members of the Russian airlines.
With that, I think it would be more useful.
The distance seems to be growing bigger every day. But jokes apart, the need, as the world is urging, is to now sit down on the negotiating table and talk. Bureau Report, India Today.
That's all the time I have in this show. We'll continue to bring latest updates from Warzone for you. Keep watching.